The women depicted in today's video are those who have not yet reached their breaking point. These women are absolutely stunning with flawless complexion and lush golden hair. They are still in the prime of their lives. They have not yet been consumed by the wall. The mental and physical ground beneath a woman's feet begins to shift when she hits her early 30s, and the majority of women are unprepared for the wall that they will encounter at this time. The term "the wall" refers to the moment in a woman's life when she is considered to be beyond her prime in terms of her physical beauty and can be taken as a generic term used to characterize that period. When a woman reaches her early to mid-30s, this phenomenon typically begins to take place in her body. Many women who are just entering their 30s have, without fail, been able to attract the attention of males for the better part of the past 20 years. They can go on dates with guys as young as in their early 20s and as old as in their 50s and 60s. This age range is not a barrier for them. They have been showered with love and attention by men of varying ages, professions, and socioeconomic backgrounds. I've had a lot of ladies tell me tales about how, when they were in their mid-20s, dirty men who were 50 years old would hit on them, and then when they turned 25, they'd have high school boys trying to get them. To put out for a woman who is in her 20s, to put out for a woman who is in her 30s. We have the entire world at our fingertips. The majority of women are able to easily attract male attention from men of any age group when they are in their 20s. However, once they reach the ages of 30 and 35, their appearances begin to change, and all of a sudden, the teenagers, 20-somethings, and even men their own age begin to start disappearing because they are giving their attention to younger women instead. A significant number of women have the impression that the males in their own age group do not treat them in an equitable manner. 35-year-old women are perplexed as to why men their age don't want to date and eventually marry them. The fact of the matter is that a man who is 35 years old and has a job, money, and a car has the ability to entice younger and more beautiful women who are in their 20s. This is the truth of the situation. If a man meets a woman who is 35 years old and they go through this process, by the time they get married, she will be 38 years old, and by that time, her chances of having children will have significantly decreased. It takes most men a year or two to get to know a woman, and then it takes another year to get engaged, and then it takes another year to actually get married. A woman in her early to mid-30s should start considering men in their late 30s, 40s, and potentially even 50s when thinking about potential partners. The majority of these more mature men have already tied the knot, started families, and are the only available options at this point on the market. These guys might be interested in finding a second wife, and if they've been divorced before, it's likely that they already have kids. There are a few ladies I know who are in their mid-30s, and they don't appear to want to accept this at all. They tell me that the only guys above the age of 40 who are looking at them think it's disgusting that they are doing it. These same women spent their 20s bouncing from one casual relationship to the next, and now they are at a loss to explain what went wrong. They had no idea that they would end up in this predicament, as it was never in any of their plans for things to turn out the way they have. Many of them are taken aback by the fact that men make the first move in romantic relationships, rather than the women doing so. It is hard for women to accept that they aren't being pursued like they once were, and that their choice of men has gone from the entire male side of the human race to a sliver of men that have physically been burned by women, or are players, or are men that understand the nature of the desperation of women in their 30s. The natural order of relationships has been flipped in favor of men, and it is hard for women to accept that this has happened. The natural order of relationships has been flipped. The situation is much more dire for mothers who have infants infected with rabies. They are so desperate to have a child that they don't care how they go about having one. They will sleep around with several different men while claiming to be on the pill, even though they are not actually on the pill. One of the guys I knew had 3 children in 3 years with 3 separate women, and he claimed that all of the women were on birth control pills during all of those pregnancies. Now he is responsible for paying child support for 2 of his children while also cohabitating with a woman who is the mother of his 3rd child. When it comes to the group of friends that I keep company with, I used to believe that many women my age would start having babies as soon as their friends started having babies. But I've since learned that this is not the case. A significant number of my female acquaintances who are in their mid-30s and who are in committed relationships have made the decision not to start a family. All of the groups of 10 to 15 women who frequently socialize together have come to the conclusion that they do not want to have children, because these 35-year-old ladies are still partying and going out clubbing like they did in their 20s. The 1 or 2 women who did have children are no longer accepted in this specific social circle. This is because these women continue to act as if they are still in their 20s. It makes me feel sick to my stomach when I watch women go into cougar clubs in the hopes of picking up males in their 20s. They crave attention from young, attractive men and want to keep the party going just a little bit longer before they hit middle age. It destroys the self-esteem of many women to be selling themselves short in this way, but they don't care. They want to keep the party going just a little bit longer before they hit middle age. Many of these 25-year-old men are only interested in having sex. The second wall is experienced by many women when they are in their early to middle 40s, and at that point, many have lost the capacity to attract even 20-year-old men who are only interested in sex. In most cases, this is also the point at which individuals begin to experience menopause as well as weight gain. Even though it may take Asian and Black women a little bit longer to age to the point where they lose their beauty, many of them still age at a rapid rate once they do. Over the course of just a few years, a 38 or 39-year-old Asian lady might move from appearing to be as young as 29 or 32 to appearing to be in her early 40s. This can happen very quickly. It's possible that I'm incorrect about this, but that's just what it seems like to me. It's possible that my being a white male prevents me from noticing the wall that she hit 10 years before she was 40. If I'm wrong, I ask that you please correct me. This is just my observation, and I'd really appreciate it if anyone else could shed some light on this particular occurrence. Women typically reach sexual maturity earlier than men do when they are still in their teenage years. Even though it may take Asian and Black women a little bit longer to age to the point where they lose their beauty, many of them still age at a rapid rate once they do. Over the course of just a few years, a 38 or 39-year-old Asian lady might move from appearing to be as young as 29 or 32 to appearing to be in her early 40s. This can happen very quickly. It's possible that I'm incorrect about this, but that's just what it seems like to me. It's possible that my being a white male prevents me from noticing the wall that she hit 10 years before she was 40. If I'm wrong, I ask that you please correct me. This is just my observation, and I'd really appreciate it if anyone else could shed some light on this particular occurrence. Women typically reach sexual maturity earlier than men do when they are still in their teenage years. This is due to the fact that the earlier women reach sexual maturity, the greater the likelihood that they will contribute to the survival of our species, particularly during times in our history when resources were limited. When it comes to the reproduction of their own genes, women have traditionally had the reproductive advantage over males. However, due to the fact that women mature at a younger age than men, this also means that they will age more rapidly. The extent to which a man may gain access to resources and money is the factor that will, in the vast majority of cases, pique a woman's interest. Women will find that guys who are intelligent, put in plenty of effort, and save money are increasingly attractive to them over time. When males, on the other hand, are drawn to women because of their reproductive capabilities, women are able to collect all of their poker chips. Imagine for a moment that a young guy and a young lady, both in their early 20s at this point, were participating in a game of poker together. The one is provided with 90 chips, but the man is only given one. But by the time they are 35 years old, he has control over 85 of those chips, while woman only has 6 of them. The process of aging can be compared to a game of poker full of bluffing and other types of deception, in which both players are attempting to hide the true nature of their cards. And just like in poker, in real life, the amount of financial chips you have plays a significant role in determining your status and options. A bigger proportion of the young ladies I know did not save any of their money when they were younger. Rather, they spent it all. They did most of their traveling on foot, went out to eat several times a week, and spent a lot of time socializing with their close friends. When they reach the middle of their 30s, they also spend a significant amount of money on cosmetics and taxi rides. I have spoken to a number of ladies who are in significant amounts of consumer and student debt and are looking for a man to save them financially. There are literally dozens of women that I know who have come out and told me that they are searching for a sugar daddy to help them pay off their financial obligations. The natural process of aging for women can frequently come as a severe emotional and mental shock to those individuals. Men tend to mature a little bit more gradually than women, and as they reach their mid to late 30s, they are eligible to date a wider variety of women in their 20s. My friends who are still dating notice that they are holding the majority of the cards and poker chips in the new dating game, but recently I've made many of them aware of MGTOW, so they are falling right out of that dating game and doing what makes them happy instead. According to the guys over at MGTOW forums, my friends who are still dating notice that they are holding the majority of the cards and poker chips in the new dating game. I'd like to point you that the wall does not show mercy to anyone and will not enter into negotiations.